All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Me here talking about real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. So, the dysfunctional Van Halen franchise, that is the topic of this particular video as we focus on Alex Van Halen and something crazy that Sammy Hagar shared a couple of days ago because he's about to go on this best of all worlds tour, not best of both. I messed that up. It's the best of all worlds. Sammy Hagar, Michael Anthony, Joe Satriani, and Jason Bonham. All right. If you can get tickets for it, go see it. I did a video about it yesterday. I think people should see this because it is probably the last time you're going to hear this music live with at least two guys that are original members of the Van Halen franchise. Although Sammy technically isn't an original member, but he's part of the Mach 2 membership. We're going to talk about this interview that Sammy did and talks about Alex, and it's pretty crazy. It just, I would say, the last 30 years of Van Halen, it's been very dysfunctional, and technically there is no Van Halen right now. There's just a remnant. There could have been maybe more than just a remnant. All right. I want to share this. This is Voltage, and their album Fortunes and Willows came out earlier this year. This is a band from the Netherlands. You're not going to hear them on American radio stations. You're not even going to see this album on Amazon or any site where you would just go and purchase music. You can listen to this, Spotify, all the regular places. But if you like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and some just organic old school rock, just great production value, excellent songwriting throughout, and just I really enjoy this. All right. So check out Voltage, Fortunes and Willows. I ordered this and they got it to me in a couple of weeks. All right. So I had to place the order on the band's website. So again, it might be worth it. It's a conversation starter. You're the only one in your neighborhood that's going to have a copy of it. So that's the way I see it. All right. So Sammy Hagar does this interview and he talks about this tour. And he says at the beginning that he or we, I'm assuming himself and probably Michael Anthony, reached out to Alex Van Halen a dozen times about taking part in the Best of All Worlds tour. Now, why would Sammy do that? Well, I'm thinking he wants more credibility, right? To have Alex play drums would have been really cool. Jason Bonham obviously is up to the challenge, but it's just pretty sad. Now, what's interesting though is that Alex was negotiating with David Lee Roth to do a tribute show. So Alex will deal with Dave. With all of the crazy that Dave represents, it seems as though Alex has a problem with Sammy and probably with Michael as well. And we just don't know at this point what it is. We know that Alex decided to just sell all of his stuff about a month or so, auctioning off everything. So he has no more gear, right? He's not going to be playing drums anytime soon. And so I guess the interviewer here was asking if there was any attempt to reach out to Alex. And they said they tried email, they tried phone calls, text messages. Apparently, there's a machine, which I didn't know if anyone was still using a machine, but apparently he says we put a message on the machine. So I mean, I could see some of these guys holding on to stuff like that if they have phones that are, in the house, landlines, as they're now affectionately called, and they have an answering machine. That's old school, right? So he says here, no response. I mean, we made every offer to get together or just talk or have breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Go to the studio and play. Come to my house, or I'll come to your house. Go ride horses. Go sit on the beach. Basically, what do you want to do? Let's just do something. Let's get together. And nothing. Explaining that he and Alex Van Halen don't have a relationship, he said this: when the tour came, the first person we called and left all of the messages and sent all of the emails was Alex Van Halen. Mike and I said, we're wanting to do this thing. And Alex's famous line to me was, Sammy, we ain't getting any younger. So I don't know if he said this recently. Mike and I said, Alex, we ain't getting any younger. We're going out and playing for the people. I think they just use that as kind of an icebreaker so they could talk to Alex about this. This must have been a while ago that maybe there was some contact there. So yeah, he says, let's be friends. Let's bury the hatchet. There was no response. I was thinking maybe he'll come to a show. He's got to. I'm sure he'll come, but no, he sold all of his equipment. That was his statement. That was like, I ain't coming anywhere or nowhere. So it's bad news for Van Halen fans, but this was kind of like a fait accompli, a few weeks ago when that story broke about him selling everything. That was just like, okay, I'm done with music. But these guys tried like heck to make him a part of this. And I think good on them. But this dysfunctional, something else is going on behind the scenes type of rejection here by Alex Van Halen just, again, solidifies that so much wasted time and so many negotiations that fell through and so many reunions that should have been. It's weird that they got back together again for a different kind of truth, and then they did the subsequent tour, and then they did another tour, and then that was it. Because Ed obviously was in rough shape, and then Ed passes away, and then we still officially haven't had a tribute. And so I'm hoping, again, I haven't seen, what they're planning to do during the show, but I'm hoping that this Best of All Worlds thing really does honor Eddie Van Halen. And it's also kind of weird that Wolfgang doesn't seem to want to have anything to do with this either. But he'll go and play a Van Halen song with the Foo Fighters or with some weird alternative band that nobody likes. That's what he'll do. I mean, people like him, but people who like Van Halen typically don't like. It's just, I don't know. I guess he doesn't understand that. And no, it's not a boomer thing. It's a musical taste thing, right? That's what it's really about. So again, if you're thinking maybe Alex will make a surprise appearance during this, no. And I doubt Wolfie might, though. I could see Wolfie doing it, but then again, I could see him just not doing it because it's too Van Halen. He just wants to do a little obscure Van Halen, play like the worst track from a Van Halen album. And it's almost like he's giving the fans the middle digit, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading too much into this because that's what I do. It's a slow day in the world of classic rock. Here's Voltage, some real classic rock that you can listen to right now. Fortunes and Willows, proving it doesn't have to be old to be a classic. It just has to sound classic, and this does that. So, again, a band from a country that you probably don't think about too often. Holland, right? And rock and roll in Holland. And I've got a couple of bands, actually, now 3 or maybe 4 in my collection from this region. And then we've got all the stuff from Sweden that I'm constantly raving about. So there is music to find. And yes, there is stuff here in the States. And I'll try to do a better job maybe finding something that represents, the United States of America. But it's actually getting more difficult to do that. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Also, please subscribe to the channel. If you want to help the channel because the algorithm isn't my best friend, there's Patreon, YouTube memberships, and Buy Me a Coffee, which has been very successful for whatever reason. Thank you to Buy Me a Coffee for making it possible. Some guy bought me like 10 coffees yesterday. So I'm really thankful for that and for his kind words. It's another way, too, you can leave a nice message. If you like the content, I'm always thinking everybody hates this channel. So you can make me feel a little better with the whole Buy Me a Coffee thing, or joining on Patreon, where I do have conversations with my regulars, I will call them, on a daily basis. Some people just go over there and support, and they do it every single month. Other folks come along and they like to have discussions about certain things, and I try to accommodate. It's getting to be a good problem to have when you can't keep up with it all. So I appreciate that. God bless everyone. Let's pray for peace in the Middle East and around the world and in your own heart and mind in 2024, the craziest year ever.